Hey everyone, in front of me a Rolex GMT Rootbeer, reference 1675 from 1979. I never thought I would own a Rolex because I'm not very pleased on the way they treat their customers nor their suppliers. But this GMT Rootbeer is quite the ugly ducking, which makes it so fun. So I'm very much into new vintage watches, and this watch just screams 70s with its orange and yellow bezel and this brown dial. What makes this reference stand out, first of all, that it's quite a bit slimmer compared to the current GMTs. So in size, I think it's actually 39 millimeters. And what is really cool is that the dial has applied or raised markers. So this is what they call a nipple dial. The crown of Rolex is not printed, but it's actually applied. So the same goes for the markers, which is quite cool. And you can see that although this watch is almost 50 years old, there is a tiny bit of patina or a tiny bit of leakage next to the markers, but overall it's in great shape. The hands are original, the dial is all original. So the loom, I can display a bit of the loom, but it died many years ago, so it doesn't do anything. Trillium isn't been used anymore since 1997, top of my head. So overall, it is really a fun watch. As you can see, this watch has been polished quite some time, so the lugs are a bit thinner. The facets are still very nice. I don't really care about it because I'm someone that wears watches. I don't keep them in the storage, and I just love the way it looks. The crown guards have been a tiny bit soft, maybe too soft for my liking, but overall I think it's in a great shape considering the dial and hands and markers, which are all original. Very little stretch in the bracelet as well. So I'm not sure what the previous owner did with this watch, but I can assure that it might have spent quite some time in the safe. So the GMT hand doesn't move separately, so it is attached to the main hands. Show. So there is a stop seconds. You can see that the hand moves together in quite a fun way. So it has a screw down crown, though it's not as great anymore as nowadays watches. No quick set date, so I have to be sure that I don't touch the date by accident, because that will set me back a solid 20 minutes to set the date. For those who don't know, quick set date means that if there's no quick set date, you have to turn the hands for 24 full hours and the date progresses. So moving 30 days forward is 30 times 24-hour cycle of the hand. So it's quite a time-consuming effort. So this is what they consider a smooth bezel. Again, I'm not any Rolex fanboy, but there's no clicks on this bezel. It rotates more or less smooth, although of course it's quite stiff, but there is no clicks, so there is no locking of the bezel. So I really enjoy this watch. Screams 1970s. I think collectors will pick it up at some point because it is the ugly ducking, and often ugly duckings get forgotten about, and at some point they just rise up. So if you are like me into new vintage watches and you hate Rolex and you never considered wearing a Rolex, look into 1675. So there's a variant with a matte brown dial, which I would actually prefer a bit more. I couldn't find it in my area, unfortunately. And Jubilee bracelet is, I guess, the way to go for a vintage root beer. But the big problem here is that these watches are almost 50 years old. So the bracelet will have quite some stretch. And it looks just as great on Oyster as far as I'm concerned. So what is a bit more something to be aware of, that the reference after this 16713 has a bit of a more orange dial, and there is, I think, luminova or superluminova markers, which are not nipples as they call it, so they're a lot wider. And that watch is for me not the way to go. 1675 or 16753, those are the reference to keep an eye on. And they can be had in good condition for around 11,000 euros, which is cheaper than a new GMT. And I think it gives a lot more fun. Short wrist watch, my wrist is 15.5, so very small. Zoom. Now you can see it clearly here. I guess not. So a bit on the large side for my very small wrist, but 39 millimeters is good for, I guess, almost everyone. Thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next one.